Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League Special Travis is on the Road edition. It's going to be a banger because we doubled our normal guest amount to bring you two guests this time. And hilariously, I guess I'll just explain this at the start. If you're listening to audio and I sound different, then you would be interested in why. And if you're watching video, then you're going to notice I look very different. Not physically, but in terms of my camera situation. And that's because I am at the Alienware training facility. And the reason I'm here is because a couple of days ago, I reached out to Spawn and said, hey, do you and Yeon want to do the show? I guess it was yesterday. I am getting some feedback through your mic again, Spawn. I reached out yesterday. I was like, hey, do you guys want to do the show? And I strategically asked him this right after he won and the team won. Still getting feedback, Spawn. And then they said yes. And then this morning I woke up and at 7 a.m. the rain, because we can't deal with rain in Los Angeles, the rain had knocked out my power and my internet. So now 12 hours later, Cubby and I still don't have power and internet. Cubby's at Riot, and some friends at Team Liquid said I could do the show here, much to the surprise of Spawn and Yeon, who had both already agreed to do the show and had no idea I would be doing it in a room right next to them. So that is why I'm here. Thank you to Team Liquid and Alienware and Honda and Verizon 5G, which is the streaming pod that I am in right now that's powered by Verizon 5G. I'll just shout out all of Team Liquid's sponsors because I'm drinking a Monster. That's how much I appreciate them letting me have their space and sending their people on my show. But let me introduce my co-host for the episode today. It's Cubby. Cubby, how's it going?
I would say thanks for the invite, but given all the rain, I was kind of okay having power and hanging home, as LA truly just cannot handle any rain, and it's a monsoon out there on the roads. Every road's now a river. It's great.
Dude, if I would have tried to, if we didn't have the caller situation that we have to deal with, which would have been really complicated, I would have tried to just get you here, because then all four of us would be in the same space and we could do it in the same room rather than I'm in the room behind Spawn. Oh, you could see my hands wave and the camera behind him, and you could see his hands wave. Yeon, yours show up in Spawn's. That's actually funny. You can see where all of us are through Spawn's camera. But yeah, it would have been great to have you here. How you been, Cubby? How you doing?
I'm good. Let's see. I went to LCS a couple days this week. I wasn't on Challengers, so I actually had a lot more time. But I was going over. I have 3 VODs to go over for LCS VOD reviews. I spent a lot of time on C9 versus IMT on my channel. So if anyone cares about that VODs, I'm gonna try and get them up to YouTube. But yeah, I just spent some time with the tape, and then honestly, it was pretty slow this weekend. We went out one night with some friends for a birthday, and that was about it. So yeah.
Nice. Is there nothing else you did this weekend at all, Cubby? There's literally nothing.
No, not really. No. I watched League of Legends, man. I got challengers in LCS.
It must have been somebody else that hung out with me last night.
Oh, right. We did have fun with Magic.
Jesus Christ. You hung out for 6 hours at the 100 Thieves facility. We all played Magic together. It's not forgettable?
I know. I was going to let you, hype it up, but no. I had a good time. It was, honestly, I think the biggest group you've gotten, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We had 30 plus people show up. Poe Belter was there for a bit. Cubby, a whole bunch of people. It was good times. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's introduce our guests for the week, starting on the left with Spawn. How's it going, Spawn?
I'm doing okay. It actually made it really awkward because I was going to call in sick for the show, but then you showed up in my office, so very hard to call in sick when I've been here playing Path of Exile all day. So,
dude,
thank you for having me, Travis.
The strategy now. I can't let people escape, and so I am now just going to show up at their doorstep to ensure that they're here. But you say you've been playing Path of Exile? Is there a new season or a new league or whatever that came out?
So it's Gauntlet at the moment. Gauntlet, for those that don't play PoE, is like the hardest version of PoE. Like everything is like 30 to 100% harder depending on where you are in the game. And then it's solo self-found, which means that you can only use equipment, gear, currency that you pick up. And then it's hardcore, meaning if you die, you're dead. So obviously, I don't have all that much time to play Path of Exile at the moment. This little event goes for 10 days. It's day 3. I've only just started playing. I'm in Act 5. So for people that watch Path of Exile, that will mean something. For everyone else, I sound like a crazy person right now, but it's fun.
All right. And now, for the first time ever, we have Yeon on the show. How's it going on?
Going good.
And
Very tired.
where are you right now? Because your background looks really unique.
What is this actually? I think I'm in space. Well, actually, I don't like this that much. Let me change real quick.
I don't think that's space. That looks like a garage or something, or like a laboratory. That looks like space to you?
Laboratory. Space laboratory.
Okay.
Well, there's a rocket in the background, some form of weird body armor suit.
Yeah. Jan has found the Skype backgrounds and is just rotating through them, much to the pain of anybody trying to watch online right now.
I think
He's
it's
like
insane.
a middle manager in the first week of COVID lockdown that is experimenting with every background that exists to not show the kids' mess in the background.
Yeah. Fantastic. Dude, the Clippy. Do you know what that is, Jan? This is like the 90s video that I made with you.
I don't know what this is, but I've seen this here and there. Clippy.
You don't know what Clippy is? Oh my God. Classic. It's literally just a real version of
Computer software.
Yeah.
Office assistants.
There it is.
Assistant.
Jesus. The Zoomers.
He used to teach you how to use like a Word and stuff when you were a kid in school.
The Zoomers. All right. Well, okay. If you haven't ever watched the show before, it is a call-in show, so we're going to be taking calls in a little bit. Cubby, do you want to do the spiel on how this works, and then we'll talk a little bit about the latest news while we get callers coming in?
Yeah. No. There's a Discord. If you type ! Discord, you can find it in the Twitch chat or YouTube chat now.
It's also just discord.gg/Travis.
Yes, it is also discord.gg/Travis. I'll take note for next time. No, drop a take. You guys can at me in the Discord. I'm at Cubby. If it's a good take, I'll pull you in the waiting room. Just check if your mic's all right, and then you can come on and talk with Spawn and Yeon, and I'll get whatever thoughts. I think that today, given that like we're halfway through the first round robin, I think that like some takes, I expect to see some takes about, first half of LCS and anything that, of course, you want to hear from Spawn and Yeon from. Good chance to talk to them. So yeah.
Yeah, so there's obviously the fact that we're halfway through the round robin. I think the last couple episodes we haven't had a chance to talk, or we just didn't get very many takes, quite frankly, about the teams and all that stuff, but there's no excuse because now we're halfway through, so people should have some interesting opinions. The standings are available. We got FlyQuest leading, and then we have a three-way tie in second for Energy Kia, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves. Below them in the second and in the bottom half of the league is Cloud9, tied with Immortals. And then we have Shopify and Dignitas. So I swear to God, folks, if we do not have some good takes or good calls about the state of the league, no pun intended, then I'm going to be very disappointed in all of you. So should have a lot to talk about there. Also, by the way, as Cubby, I think, failed to mention that we have, when you join, you want to put your take in the Pleb Topics chat, or if you are a Twitch sub, and I think we're trying to figure out if we can get it to sync with YouTube as well. It might already. You should also have access to the Subtopics channel, which moves a little slower, so it's a little bit easier to get onto the show if you put that in there. Also, for those who don't listen to the show live, I just want to give a shout out to the Discord. We actually have a lot of people that hang out in there. Most of them are nice. Some of them are not. And they have like league. What is happening over there, Spawn? Are you? Oh, the lights are turning off on you. They had a fantasy league in there, and then we have a Magic the Gathering chat. I'm going to Denver this weekend for DreamHack Denver, and then I'm also going to be in Chicago in 2 weeks for the Magic Con that's out there. So if you want to see me at either of those events or just talk to people about Magic, you can join the Magic channel there. So that's my plug for the Discord. But as Cubby said, we are halfway through the round robin. The other news that broke this past week is the news about there being no spring finals roadshow. So it will be happening in the LCS arena, and we can take calls about that. And I think we should because it's pretty spicy. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else major that has happened besides the LCS games and that news in the past week.
Los Angeles Clippers are kind of nearly top of the Western Conference. That's big news for me. My boy Russell Westbrook popping off, and Yamato got apparently fired today. That was kind of big news.
That's true. We
Yeah.
don't tend to talk too much about LEC, but if somebody has some strong opinion on that,
Oh, you know, I'm a coach. He's a coach.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Scumbag orgs everywhere, Travis.
Sure, yes, you say from within the Team Liquid Alienware training facility.
Oh, obviously not Team Liquid.
Yes.
There's a reason I've been here 4 years. Never
Yes.
Team Liquid. Steve, don't fire me, please.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we talked about that. Anything else that I'm forgetting? Chat, or I should say chats, because there's also YouTube chat now too. Any news from this past week that I'm forgetting? I think that might be all of it. So unless anybody else on the show can think of something, I think it's mostly been that news for the past week. So let's we could do, while we still have some callers queuing up. Cubby, do you have any questions for Yeon or Spawn about how Team Liquid's been going so far this year?
Oh, so I guess I'll start with kind of a reach. Spawn, we had a conversation, like way back about, throughout the years when you've been in challengers, scenarios where you would work with LCS. And I know that, you and Yeon actually entered TL around the same time. And Yeon, like for you, was always, part of those plans. What's it kind of been like reuniting? And I'll give this one to Yeon too. But what's changed? Like, what kind of growth have you guys seen, kind of like from each other, in a way, or in like how are things?
Yeah, obviously, being at Team Liquid, this is my 4th year now, 3 years in Academy. First year, I did pick up Yeon through the Riot Games Scouting Combine, which I actually thought was a really great event. When we didn't, I think a lot of really good players came through that event. Sad that it's gone. When I started, what the heck? Umpty is screaming in the background. When I started working with Yeon, I think that he was a really smart AD carry, and then we just needed to align our views on the game. And we did that pretty quickly, in Academy, and we worked quite well together. Since I came back, I'm just surprised how far backwards he's gone, and just needs, obviously, some love from his previous coach to be able to get him back to those heights. I think, still a lot of the same things we're just still working on, how we want him to operate within the team. I think that needs to be a little bit more vocal to step up as a primary carry for the team, and we've been talking about that a lot at the moment, but I think that he's had a pretty good start to the split, and we'll continue to build from there. I'm enjoying it so far.
APA in the Twitch chat right now asking Umpty to stop yelling. Okay, so you got a question. I'd say, Yeon, what has it been like working with Spawn again?
Well, not to attack his appearance, but the more he coaches me, it looks like the more he loses his hair.
Well, isn't that more a statement on you than on him, I feel like?
Well, to be fair, he lost a lot of hair last year, and he wasn't coaching me last year.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So unrelated. No, but seriously, is it funny? Because there's been like there was obviously a gap, right, in the time that you worked with him to working with him now. And so is it strange to kind of have him step back in after you've been in for a year, or what has it been like reconnecting with him as a coach in the past couple, I guess in the last month or so?
I think for the most part, he's doing pretty much everything I expected him to do in like the good ways. And he's very, how do I say this? In a nice way.
Just be mean, man. Who cares?
You can be mean, Yeon.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fun.
I was joking. He's very flexible, and he lets us do our own things. And then like when we're like, it looks like we're on a like downwards spiral kind of action, then he like takes over with the like leadership. But I think he's very flexible, unlike Academy, which I think is more realistic because it is Academy where the basics needs to come first.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see you back united again with your former coach for sure.
Yeah.
Spawn, what has surprised you about stepping into the role of LCS coach compared to what you'd experienced in Academy and then also in Oceania before?
That's a good question. I think that there's a couple of ways you can answer this. The first way is, working with veterans, normally you give them a little bit more leeway to do things their way. And I would say like the biggest surprise so far has probably been Impact, who is very much like a coach's player. He's like, nope, you tell me what champion I want to pick. You tell me what role you want me to fulfill on this team, and I will do it to the 150% of my ability. So I was actually kind of surprised coaching Impact because there's a guy that's done everything, been around for such a long time, played with all the greats, won multiple titles. But he is just such a workhorse and I guess such a good player to coach in that regard. So I've really enjoyed it. I also think he gives the best feedback from a player-to-player standpoint that I've met ever within League of Legends. So I've really enjoyed that so far. And then I think that the thing that would probably surprise me is that kind of what Yeon's saying. In the LCS, we like to, freestyle the game a little bit more, but then sometimes our fundamentals do slip. So the amount of fundamental coaching I've still had to do, just around base timings, keeping track of tempo, making sure that we're playing a solid macro game. There's a couple of memes going around about Team Liquid at the moment. We are trying our best to be the best macro team in the league. I think that we're doing a pretty good job of that. So I think those would probably be my two biggest surprises so far.
What about outside of the specific relations of the team? Like, I don't know if you're like, wow, these other coaches are much easier to draft against than I thought, or like those types of things. Like just in terms of stepping up into the league in general.
Okay, here we go. Here's some shade. Do you know what has actually been the biggest surprise to me?
What's that?
Is the LCS fans. My goodness. I've been around Oceania and Academy too much probably, where they're like smaller fan bases where, I would say there's a lot more positivity going. But like the LCS fans sometimes attack the most bizarre stuff and like hold a really, really strong opinion about very strange things that they like to hate. And I think that the reason I bring that up is because when you said like, drafting and things like that, I think that actually it impacts how people do in the LCS. Because like I genuinely think people are like terrified to pick Lucian in good spots because otherwise you're gonna have the mob coming at you with a pitchfork. I do think that there are some funny things going on in the LCS sometimes. This is Travis for sure.
Yeon, are you? Does this stuff impact you, or do you feel like Lucian is a rougher pick because of this?
He's winning on Lucian. He's the one win.
How safe for work is this?
You can say whatever you want. We don't have a sponsor for this episode, so.
Okay. You all need to go fuck yourselves. Genuinely go fuck yourselves. Suck my fucking dick.
Oh, God. Okay, good to know. Fantastic. Do you see a lot of this stuff, Jan? Because whenever I ask players about fan sentiment, they usually just say, "Oh, by the way, now that you said that, by the way, Fudge said that one time, and fans have hated him ever since. So good luck." But
shit,
they hate me already. What else can they do? Are they gonna fucking kill me? Whatever. Go fuck yourselves.
What?
Oh man.
What? This is turning into that Honda ad that aired, or what was it that you guys did at the beginning of the year? All right, no. What do you see these things? Because normally when I interview players and ask them about fan sentiment, they go, "Oh yeah, I don't really read that stuff. I just think it's better for my mental to like not look at any of that." And it sounds like you do, given your feelings on the subject. Yeon.
Yeon, do you read the comments?
I do, and I feel like what Jake says is like sometimes it's unrealistic. Like they're upset about the wrong thing sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah.
Can you give an example?
So I think a lot of people are upset. So I'll give an example in the C9 game, right, that we played against, where they played Lucian. I think the reason you pick Lucian is not what a lot of people are doing well on, and you should be more upset about like how the teams are utilizing it more than just picking it.
Mm-hmm.
I would be more than getting mad at the player. I would be very upset at the team for not being able to use it well, or like.
I mean, it's not just C9, right? We can give an example from our game. So like I can give a really if you pulled up the clip, I can pretty much walk you through it. So we play Lucian, right? And we're pushing bottom lane. We actually force them out of lane. We get ourselves a turret plate. You know what I mean? So like Lucian is actually winning lane. And was this against Dignitas? I'm pretty sure this was against Dignitas that I'm going to give the example from. and then all of a sudden we lose an unlosable 3v3 topside, right? So like their mid lane Orianna doesn't have flash. Our Udyr is like unkillable at this stage of the game. He's first to the play, and somehow we lose it. So Impact dies, AP has to burn flash, and Umpty has to burn flash. So, and then off that, my Azir has to take a bad recall timing, and then my Lucian gets 4-man dove bottom lane. Absolutely not a Lucian issue, by the way. Any AD carry is getting 4-man dove on this timing. And they're like, this is why you should never pick Lucian Nami. This is why you shouldn't pick Lucian Amelia in the LCS. Look at it, it just gets dove at every opportunity. And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't get dove by the direct lane matchup. It gets dove by the jungler and the mid laner that should both be behind. So this is where I kind of agree with Yeon. It's like, the outcome is correct. Like, we should not get dove on that timer. I 100% agree with fan sentiment there. It is game losing to get dove there, and we will try our best to work on things that will not get us dove in the future. But at the same time, the Lucian is not at fault for getting killed in that scenario.
Yeah.
This is why I miss blame game. I think Mark always did a good job of identifying these goofy comments and calling it out. Cubby, I think I cut you off earlier, but you had a question for these guys, if you still remember. I know we've gone on a couple tangents.
No, it's been long. It's all good. I was gonna tease Yeon a bit and like following up, but I'm glad that Yeon told everyone to fuck off. That's just brilliant. That's cinema. Good job, Yeon. Well done.
Let's see if he can do it to our callers. Do you want to? Should we get into the calls?
I don't get to see their camera, right? I don't get to see their camera, right?
You don't have to see their camera, no. That's why we use Skype.
Can't see their face.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you're good, Cubby, we can go. You can go grab them. All right. While Cubby is grabbing the first caller, thank you to Juju Beans, Nwillen, Crawls Balls, Polish Bartosz, Rogaine St. Vicious gifted a sub to APA. Thank you, everybody, for subbing. It's more helpful than you know. Our first caller is here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's gengariffith. I'm calling from Kentucky.
Gengariffith from Kentucky. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I've seen a lot of blame thrown at the players on C9 for their performance so far, but I think the first place that anyone should be looking at is the coaching staff. It's not that they're lacking talent; they're lacking direction, and that's where I wish more of the blame was going towards instead of the individual players.
Okay, so this is an interesting call because I have not been checking the C9 subreddit recently because what I used to do was like a tour of all the subreddits, usually like once or twice a week, oftentimes after the games were done. And I think when TSM left and then CLG became NRG and all this stuff, I just stopped looking at them as much. And the Team Liquid one has been often a little quiet when I've looked recently. And I had forgotten that during off season, everybody was like, get Mithy out. Get Mithy out. We don't want Mithy. We don't want Mithy. And so, of course, I can't believe I would have thought or forgotten about this. Of course, now that C9's on the bottom half, C9 fans would be raging out at the fact that Mithy is still around. Is that what's going on here, Gengariffith? Are you just pissed about it?
I'm going to be real. I don't even have a Reddit, so I don't know what Reddit was about. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like from what I've seen on Twitter and things like that, a lot of blame has been going at like Vulcan for having multiple bad splits in a row. But I mean, I don't think his performance warrants what I've seen. I don't think it's been him that's been struggling necessarily. It just looks like they're behind on everything. It doesn't look like they have direction in the game. They just kind of exist. I mean, there was that one game where it didn't look like they were making a play until like 30 minutes in.
Spawn is leaning back like Neo in the Matrix, trying to dodge the question I'm about to ask him preemptively.
I got you.
Oh, go ahead, Yeon. Yeah, go for it.
Ask your question. He's out of it already.
I was going to ask, we'll take the caller's take. Is it true that the coaching staff is primarily to blame for C9's underperformance?
Absolutely. Every coaching staff should be held accountable. He got up so fast. See, the irony is when we were losing our games, like our 3 losses, Spawn needs to be fucking fired. What are these shit traps? I can't. We need someone fucking accountable. Get them out. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it over from Yeon because he's kind of saying what's on my mind. It's just really funny that the caller said that I see the players taking a lot of the blame, and it needs to be put, like, more needs to be put on Mythy. Because it's funny, because every single thread I read is Mythy needs to be fired, and what a terrible coach he is.
Yeah.
And none of the players are getting any blame for anything that is happening in the game. And so what I will say is, like, and I think there was actually a really well-measured take about 400 comments deep in the last C9 thread, which was like, wow, some of these drafts seem really hard to execute. And when your team isn't playing well, sometimes it's easier to give them a more straightforward comp. Like, okay, that's a well-measured take. I would agree with that to a certain extent. But at the same time, I would expect the players on Cloud9 to be the best in their role nearly across the board, and for them to be able to execute difficult drafts. Because, I think the draft against us was actually not great, but I think that a couple of their other drafts have been quite good. And it has come down to execution. So, I don't necessarily know whether that's on Mythy. I also know that as a coach, coaching superstar players, sometimes it is hard to go toe-to-toe and completely force the direction of teams. Don't get me wrong, I've done it in the past, but it has resulted in some tough conversations with players. And I think it's just going to be a work in progress. Whenever I talk to Mythy, seems like a really smart guy about the game. Seems like he's really good with his players as well. So, I wouldn't necessarily be attributing too much of the blame towards him, in my opinion.
And you have to be careful doing that type of thing, Spawn, because I think the last Team Liquid coach who tried to do that now is just casting on the weekends. So
yeah, we used to call it the defense against the dark arts job, Travis. The Team Liquid head coach job.
Yes.
Much like the defense of the dark arts, it got replaced a couple of times.
Yes. Well, we'll see if you can survive this year. No wonder you dodged it for so long. All right. What do you think of this, Cubby?
I mean, I think that most people are calling for Mythy. I think that it's like the NBA super team fallacy, where it's like we're paying these players too much, so like the only change that we can feasibly make that might have an impact is like change the coach, which is where a lot of people's heads are at. I don't agree. I'm with Spawn. I've heard a lot of players have talked to me positively about Mythy behind the scenes and like his impact. I think if anything, I think the most valid argument is maybe they might need more help or more coaching. Because I was seeing a couple comments that, like, at the moment, Mythy is the one person that's in person. Hai is mostly there to manage the team and doesn't have as much like direct impact, to my understanding. I was like getting this from like my Twitch chat, like taking in other things, and they have one remote coach, and that's it. And for me, if I took any learning about NRG's win last year, it's like it's really OP to have Dokla and have him be able to talk to Soaz like in between games, right? Like someone that has been in his shoes, that has competed at an amazingly high level. Like I think NRG did a good job of supporting their players, and C9 at the moment, like maybe they need more people to support this super team, right? I think that's one. Also, like some of the games, I mean, I watched Berserker play like Lucian Milio. They crashed wave 2 and then died to like Varus Not when they hit level 3, and he dashed in like a creep away. Like that's not on the coach. Like that FlyQuest game for me, like that went like boom because Berserker made a play that's like it's very bad. Like I mean, he got immediately not hooked, right? And if you lose that lane in that draft, like you have the Nico and the Rel for circles to actually buy space for Lucian Milio. Like in theory, for me, like that's good. Like and the game was playable. I think once
that, by the way, that's a very good draft.
Yeah, like once that happens, the game's over.
So for that, I can actually tell you guys exactly what happened in that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you noticed, but C9 warded both the third bush.
Yes,
and
it double trinketed.
Yeah, double trinketed, and then it both got killed. So then C9 or FlyQuest got level 3 in an extra melee.
Yeah.
So they actually didn't realize that, and then they died to it. To like a minion dematerializer and then a hook as well.
So I'm curious if you've seen that Von Yod. I kind of thought that FlyQuest actually let them crash the second wave too. I think that I don't know if like they had that foresight for that, but for me, like that, it's really hard to play against Varus Not when they have a level on you and the wave is on their side of the map. So I think that like FlyQuest actually set up the conditions for that. I don't know if you felt that as well, but either way, I felt like it was a major error.
Personally, I think they messed up the level 1 trade, in my opinion. Yes. It wasn't that great, so that's what forced them into it. And in our game as well, I personally don't think they played the level 1 great, but
yes,
I messed up because I don't know if you guys can see it in the player cam. Someone was in front of me changing the camera position, and I was getting really distracted level 1. So then I failed to use the advantage that they gave away to me. But besides that, I just think that they got, I wouldn't say cheesed, but they made a mistake and they didn't actually recognize it. It shouldn't have been as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, like I look at that game and like I throw that game out the window. Like that game for me against a good team, like that's over at that point, pretty much. Like you need to do something crazy to like get back, given the draft. So I again like, do you blame Mithy for that? I can't. There's no way in hell I can blame Mithy for something like that. So I don't know. I feel like C9 fans are grasping for answers because their expectations were really high and their team is 3-4. So
Yeah. And I'm reading chat because this is what I do during this show because I love reading chat. Chat, you guys are the real ones, like, to be honest. And like there is no wrong player opinion as much as I like making fun of people.
I think Yeon thinks that there's incorrect opinions.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because Yeon takes it very personally, whereas I'm a little bit older and wiser, Travis, hence the no hair. And so what I will say is like people love to try and look for a simple solution to a complicated problem. So everyone's like, well, if it's not Mithy, like point to the guy who it is and like, let's get rid of that guy. And it's like, well, realistically, all of these players have played on teams where they're used to getting a lot of resources. Now they're all on the same team. And even though there is no basketball in League of Legends, there is still a ball, you know, there is still the amount of resources that gets allocated to you. And they're trying to figure it out. That's the honest answer to it. And when they figure it out and they play 3-4% better, that's all it's going to take. And they're going to go back to winning games because they're a really talented team. And if they're in good positions, then they're going to win games. And I'm not saying the coaches are not to blame for this. I'm just saying they're not solely to blame for this and they're going to be a part of the solution. And the realistic thing is that everyone's looking at like Immortals and they're going, how do you lose to Immortals? That should be a free win. Like 100 Thieves, how are you losing to 100 Thieves? That should be a free win. But this year in the LCS, there is just no free wins. Like everyone is just good. Like even if you just do the eyeball test and you just look at players like Quid is just good. If you look at how Tactical's playing at the moment, Eddie's just playing well. Like, I mean, the eyeball test in the LCS is actually quite high.
Is everyone good or is everyone bad?
No, I actually think everyone is good.
Do you? Because the only reason I've been trying to figure this out, or I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this, is like we are down 2 teams, and like Golden Guardians and EG in recent years have been fairly competitive, and I do wonder if they were fielding teams that had like Speak on them and stuff like that, if we would still be feeling like everyone is good, or if we feel like we would feel as though there are some bad teams, right? Maybe it is harder to separate the chaff whenever you have just less teams.
No, I don't think so because I mean, this is where I can be a little bit privileged because I see every single scrim, right? And I just know based off our scrims, like behind the scenes, like pretty much, you know, when you guys have seen us play, like, what is it, 7 LCS games now? And I think we've played 138 scrims. So my sample size is 138 and your guys' sample size is 7, right? Or like, even if it's 7 times 8, like it's like 50 games or whatever, it's still a third of the games that I've watched, right? So I can just tell you straight up, the level of competition this year is higher.
I don't think that those count though, Spawn, because from my understanding, we have to have best of 3 because those games don't count in terms of preparing a team for any kind of event. The other question I had was kind of going back to Cubby's take, right? Which was, hey, maybe C9 is under-supported. How much support staff, like what is the Team Liquid support staff looking like this year?
I'm really lucky. Obviously, I've got Ranover, who's my strategic coach. Then I've got Hatham, who's my full-time analyst. Then I've actually got a whole nother analytics team that just supports a lot of games at Team Liquid, but they do things like write scripts that look at our audio to see who's talking the most, you know, just a whole bunch of other things out there that, you know, and then we've got a full custom-built website thanks to SAP that gives us a lot of information on that. And then obviously I've got APA's positional coach who is Rapid Star. For the Zoomers who don't know who that is, that's a very good positional coach. And then obviously I've got Mash, who's the academy coach that also doubles up as Yeon's positional coach, especially around game day stuff. And then I've got Dodo, who obviously has done everything in the ecosystem and is always willing to help. So I've got a very good support staff here.
So how do you think there's a world where C9 is under supported?
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. It's a hard job to do with one person live and one person remote.
All right, it's just good to know to think about because I do think that the energy stuff last year they got memed on a lot for all of that, but I think it did yield interesting results in terms of how well they were able to do. So, all right, I
Yeah.
think that is it. Unless you had some other thought, Cubby.
I think it's a lot harder to make changes in the season given everyone's budget's down, and that's interesting. Also, C9 was one of the few teams that they paid a lot for some players, especially a certain one, and it's too bad that like if that's the staff they have, like I think that is something where I took some warnings from NRG as well. Like I think it's really valuable to like I mean even Yeon like speaking with Mash, someone that has competed on a big stage like that, like he knows your language, right? It's valuable to have those people in the building, especially a lot of them that can support everyone in the way. So I think if C9 like they only have one person in the building, I think that's really tough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because it's funny, I saw whenever that conversation sparked up, Twitch chat was like, "Oh, these players and the coaching staff aren't yielding results. Guess you got to go spend some more money, even though you've already spent all this money on all these people." But I do think like infrastructure matters, and I mean C9 I think would say systems matter. So I don't know. All right. Anyway, caller, thank you so much for the call. Anything that you want to add here at the end?
Yeah, I'll just say I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like, I must be in the wrong circles. I should probably try to expand them since all the hate I've seen is towards the players and not towards the coaches. I didn't see that. But what I would say is I still think you're looking at the coaching staff. I think we all agree then that not looking at an individual on the coaching staff, but looking to actually support them a little bit better. But anyway, that's pretty much all I'd add.
Fantastic. Well, hey, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, shout out Yeon. He's my new favorite ADC after those fuck yous. Shout out Monster Rehab Pink Lemonade. That was my first energy drink ever. I know it's not a drink anymore, but like it's still got a special place in my heart. And yeah, shout out TGI.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Catch you next time.
Thank you.
I like that caller, by the way. That caller is
I like him too.
eager chat.
I see Yeon Enero in the chat mocking me and saying that the audio is rough. Folks, or Enero specifically, the power and internet is out at my apartment. The fact that the show's still happening is remarkable. It's fine.
Also, shout out to Anero, the only guy that has lost more hair in esports than I have.
True. Dude, shout out to Enero, the only guy who still somehow works for the Warriors despite Golden Guardians imploding. They don't even have a Twitter account, and yet this guy kept his job. So I don't know what kind of dirt he has, what kind of blackmail he has on people over there, but it's quite impressive.
I think he makes Steph Curry's lunch, personally. It must be damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely knows. He's got something going on. All right. You want to go grab the next caller, Cubby?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Shout out to, I was saying before the start of the show, like I lost Alienware as a sponsor, and now I've burrowed into their facility to make sure that they have to continue to support me in my current homelessness. Okay, Muzvein is here. Muzvein, where are you calling from?
Calling from Des Moines, Iowa.
Des Moines, Iowa. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So this is a little longer. So essentially, I think Eyla is finally in a position to succeed this year in LCS, and is going to have a breakout season. And along with that is a huge part of the current success of 100 Thieves and how they've looked. So kind of behind this is last year, Harry and Jan talked a lot about how Eyla was their favorite teammate they'd ever had, and he was really like 1v9 shot caller. However, on EG and especially FlyQuest, he wasn't really put in a position to use those skills. But on 100 Thieves, they have multiple rookies, including disguise players and head coach from what I believe Zazel was the main shot caller on that team. And then also River coming from Golden Guardians, where I've heard who he is a major voice. That's going to really set him up for success. And as I said, also part of the reason they are already looking so good and so clean for a team that's pretty new and full of rookies.
Yeah, he's not held back by Prince anymore, right? Am I right? All right. So it's so funny. The microphone sensitivity is like is weird for both Yeon and Spawn, where like I will make a joke, they will both start laughing pretty hard, and none of that will come through. So the podcast listeners are like, "Man, Travis is cracking these jokes, and nobody thinks they're funny." But then the VOD viewers or the stream viewers are like, "Man, he's getting these guys good." All right, Eyla. We start off with Spawn and Yeon. Let me ask you, Cubby, what do you think of the Eyla stuff here?
I don't know. I don't want to speak on what exactly is going behind the scenes with like 100 Thieves, like who's making calls and everything. But I thought it was an interesting take, just because I know that like Eyla came through with Yeon and Spawn, and I do think that Eyla is like I think he's had some strong games, some games that have been but I thought like his Senna and Milio have been really good so far this split, and I don't know. I thought that Eyla like actually was decent on EG, and like it wasn't as recognized, just because again like those games were kind of flippy. So I know that everyone's kind of high on 100 Thieves, given where expectations were at right now, and yeah, there was definitely a part of the take too. You know, Muzvein, you had something for Yeon. You know, you wanted to ask him something about Eyla as well.
Oh, I just figured this would be a good chance for you to hype up your best friend or shit talk your greatest rival. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's nothing. I play him this week. He's nothing. Maybe next week he'll be something, but this week he's nothing. Like you said on EG, I think some games he played pretty well, but I would say most of the credit probably went to Jojopyeon because like that's who is like the star player of their team, and I think Jojopyeon did pretty well on EG, but I think sometimes they played around him a lot, but everyone was like, wow, Jojopyeon is so good, you know? So I think even if he did well, most like the praise would go to Jojopyeon over Eyla.
All right. What do you think, Spawn?
I mean, Jan's not going to say it. I'll say it. We both really enjoyed working with Eyla, obviously. He was really integral to the back-to-back championships we won on TLA back in the day. Obviously, I think that he has a really great mind for the game because I taught him most of what he does in the game, so I'm a little bit biased there. But what I will say is like insanely coachable. I think that both Golden Glue and Spooks would really be enjoy coaching him at the moment. He's insanely flexible. He reached Challenger in Korea, like playing center, support, and plays 80 carry to Challenger nearly every year, and then he's one of the best melee players in the league as well. I mean, Core speaks highly of him historically, which obviously means a lot to the fans as well. So, I mean, I think he's always been a little bit slept on. I think he's always kind of been a good player. And I think that, you know, still someone that I'm really proud to have coached, and I'm sure someone Jan would call a good friend when he's not playing him on the weekend. So I'm really happy that you're giving him some love because he's a great kid.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'll force you guys to take the other side of it. What would stop Eyla from having his breakout year this year? If he doesn't, if things don't go well, why is that? And it doesn't necessarily need to be dog on him, right? But like, what are the circumstances where that might end up not panning out for him?
I mean, I think the team's young. I like that. That could like be a factor moving forward. I don't know what you. What do you got, Yeon?
Yeah, I was gonna say that their team is pretty new and they have to learn their basics. Like Sniper, Meech, and I don't consider Quid a rookie, but like he's probably very shy. I've actually communicated with him in like CQ in Korean on purpose. Like, so here I'll give you a story. It was like me, Quid, Armeo, Core JJ, and Castle, right? And I wanted to be an asshole to Armeo, right? So I was like, I'm gonna make you feel how APA felt the entirety of last split. And I just used Korean all four of us just started using Korean, and Quid was very like, he talked like more of a Chad, but I think in English he's like more so very quiet is my like understanding, I feel like. So that was one thing. He's very shy. So I would consider him like a very quiet type of person. And I also think rookies would not speak that much, like they're 80 carry and top. So Eyla will definitely have to like have a bigger role in the team.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say, oh my goodness, as I go back into the dark. I would say the thing that would stop him from breaking out, Travis, is one of two things. Is if people on his team slack off, he's going to get very frustrated because that's just the kind of person Bill is. He likes hard workers, and if you don't work hard, then he holds you accountable to that. And sometimes people don't like being held accountable. And then I would say the second thing is that sometimes when you are expected to carry a lot of the shot calling and a lot of the macro thing, then you kind of lose your own personal form because too much of your job is to like, you're playing StarCraft when you should be playing League of Legends.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. I think Muzvein, hopefully that answers all of your questions. Does it?
Yeah, I think I hit everything.
Anything you want to shout out before we go on to our next caller?
Yeah, shout out to you, Travis, for continuing to put out all this content, really highlighting players this year. Shout out to Cubby for bringing a lot of attention to the NACL. I know just from interacting or seeing you here, it's made me watch a lot more of their games. And then shout out to Yeon for, I think, being a lot more comfortable on camera, and then especially being willing to make these appearances when kind of community can be pretty rough. It's pretty easy to kind of lock yourself away. So great to have you here, and shout out to the Duckmo guys who are watching right now.
Yeah, big shout out. I agree with you on especially on the Yeon front, because I do appreciate you being down to come on the show, Yeon, because there once was a time when I had a show called State of the League where I could get 3 different pro players on every week, and now Riot just forces them to stick around and do that exact same show. Muzvein, thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
I'm just saying, if Spawn wasn't here, I might not be here.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out really. That is completely fine. I do think one of the things I want to do with the show, like Pros has inspired me to try to get multiple guests on the show every week. Sometimes it's hard to get one guest just because people are like, I understand it. You all have only usually one day off a week. How many times do people want to spend the evening of that on the show? And so getting 2 people on is always tough, but I do want to see if I can just push more for that type of thing. So, very, very good though. I do appreciate it. All right, let's see. You want to go grab the next caller, Cubby?
Yes, and I have an ad from my roommate while we go get the next caller.
An ad? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
fantastic.
we got an ad.
Love you. Hi.
Rafa with the Yeon is my goat sign for those that
Rafa is my goat.
can't see. Ripafel, thank you for the sub. Disco Cisco, Guest Monster, Scrap, Jedstar, sorry. War Van Sons, Bowen with 1,000 bits. Very generous of you. Thank you, everybody. And then Steven hit me with a donation of $50. So thank you for your support. Helps me continue to pay Cubby and a portion of my bills. We got Davis here. Davis, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Connecticut.
Connecticut. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about how 8 teams has been really good for the league in terms of parity and also in terms of giving more time like per each player to focus on different storylines. And it's made Immortals and Dignitas fun teams to watch this split, surprisingly.
I love this take. Do you want to? You said you want to talk about it. Do you want to elaborate on any of this?
I mean, I think on the broadcast side of things and highlighting player stories, I can't tell how much of that is just a change in the way that the broadcast is working. But I don't know, the first week hyping up General Sniper was really good, and I think they've done a lot of different storylines that are nice. And on the competitive aspect, I just think a lot of times this season, the lower tier teams have been more exciting to watch because you get to look out for the upsets and stuff, and that hasn't historically been the case, especially with the very bottom teams.
Yeah, I mean, I for a long time I had said, it's funny because apparently Papa Smithy is saying this is how NA teams also felt this way. I have thought that it'd be really great to have 8 teams instead of 10, and I think I remember mentioning now on Hotline League. I don't know if the 2 teams we lost would have been the 2 teams that I would have chosen for us to lose. I think I had 2 other teams in mind whenever I thought about going down to 8, but I think that the results of this split so far have proven out sort of how I felt. I think that the league audience is way better off. The scale of the league audience is much easier to able to support 8 than 10. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, there's just not enough games right now, or I'm frustrated because the days end so quickly on Saturday and Sunday, and I want to watch more. I wish there was a promotion tournament or something. I could see some sort of element of that where you're adding in some sort of academy challenger system where those players are coming up and playing in some way. But I really like that we get to focus on these 8 teams. I think it's a lot easier to cover, which I think also means it's probably a lot easier for the broadcast side. I guess I'd throw it over to Spawn. What is it like having to prepare for only 7 opponents versus 9 over the course of the split?
To be honest, prep hasn't really changed because you don't really prep for anyone until playoffs, to be honest. I mean, this is how I've always done it. Maybe there are other teams out there that are like, oh my God, what an idiot. But I'm more focused on what we're doing. We get a scouting report that we have a look at, and we look at some individual tendencies, but it's not like I'm sitting there all week preparing to play Cloud9. I'm trying to make Team Liquid the best team possible, and then we'll figure out how that applies to the Cloud9 draft or the Cloud9 game when we are sitting there maybe the day before or something like that. What I will say, however, is as a shoutcaster, we did similar things in the OPL, and I really enjoyed it. I think reducing scope, focusing on positive storylines, making sure that you actually have 110% of your energy available to be able to give the best broadcast available to a limited amount of times was really, really good. And I think that the LCS is benefiting a lot from it right now. So I'm glad that people are positive about it because I'm really positive about it. I do think that there could be some changes to format, like best of 2s, weeknights, whatever. There are things to be taken away from
Best
this.
of 2s.
However,
Cubby, what did you do to this
if you want.
man?
I didn't do anything, man. He competed in our league. He knows.
Yeah, I was there 3 years. Best of 2 was really good. Best of 3 is fine as well. But what I'm saying is, I think there is some improvement to be made as well. But I think that it is going up at the moment is what I'm trying to say. So I'm happy.
Cubby, do we have a best of 3 take in the pipeline, or can I divert us really quickly on this?
We don't. You go for it.
Okay, Yeon and Spawn. I don't know if he's still in Twitch chat, but after the first week, APA made an emo tweet being like, I practiced an entire month, and then I only played 2 games. This feels so bad.
Mm-hmm. Feels shit.
I am fairly confident that if we switch to BO3, it will be 4 matches a week. I don't think that there will be 2 BO3s a week. I think it'll just be you play 1 BO3 a week. So there's still
also be shit. The academy system currently sucks as well, Travis. The double BOT or double BO3 is just so much superior. If you're just going to go from one terrible system to another terrible system, just don't change the system.
Well, that's
now that you said it, Spawn.
Because I don't think that the audience realizes that that's what they are pushing for. Because, okay, look, guys, there's no way that Riot is going to add 2 additional days, that they're going to broadcast LCS 4 days a week, which is, I'm pretty sure, what they would have to do in order to support double best of 3 for each team. They are just not going to spend that money. It costs them an incredible amount. They would essentially be doubling their budget outside of finals, or I guess outside of playoffs, in order to do this. And so there's no way they're going to do this. And
so, Travis, I understand your take as well. For those that don't know, right, before I was anything to do with, when I was Spawn the caster, I was also Spawn the project manager of the LPL English broadcast that was broadcast out of Sydney, Australia. And what people don't realize is we did the OPL, which was 2 days best of 1s, and then we did the LPL English broadcast, and we covered every game back then. And it was 5 nights of tomfoolery. I'm talking about, and Raz is in the chat, so he will remember. It was people casting the OPL, pulling out sleeping bags, sleeping on the floor of the Riot Sydney office, and then casting the LPL afterwards. It was brutal times. So I get how hard it is to cover multiple days. I don't think it's going to happen, but what I am saying is that when we ask for best of 3s, we're not asking, the players and the coaches aren't asking for 1 best of 3 a week. They're asking for 2 best of 3s a week to make sure that when you make a mistake like Berserker and Vulcan made in a game, it doesn't cost you the whole day. It just costs you game 1 of that whole day. That's what we're asking for.
But you have to know, Spawn, that like when you're asking for that there's no way the LCS is going to do 4 days of broadcast a week.
Yeah, that's probably true. When you put it like that, now I'm a little bit more sad, Travis. But man,
I mean,
can dream.
well,
Man can dream.
I wanted to finally address this because like I just don't. I realized it was after week 1. And I forgot to bring it up last week, but after week 1, I think I was hanging out in chat, and somebody in one of my viewers, I forget who, I'm sorry, person, said like, "Oh, I'm confused by this APA tweet because like wouldn't he have only played one more game only if both teams had went 1-1?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's actually probably how the format would work out." And I think like the audience has not made the mental jump yet to understand like what does double best of 3s look like? Okay, that is either like 9-hour days of broadcast, or it is a 4-day week. And I don't think they're going to do like a 9-hour broadcast,
yeah, I mean,
right?
I think what people like, the ideal in my head, right? And I mean, this is where you're probably right, Travis. And this is where I just bug Mark all the time at the moment. But it's like Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, single best of 3s, then like double or best of 3s on like Saturday, and like then maybe, double best of 3s on Sunday. Like this is where this is where my brain goes with stuff like that.
Yeah, but they're never going to do that. They can't afford that.
No, Travis.
They
this is
just
also a
canceled
best of
spring
2s.
finals.
Best
Travis.
of 2s are great. You have a guaranteed schedule with best of 2s. Throwing that out there.
When you were a kid and you were writing your Santa Claus list, did you ask your parents for a budget beforehand? Because that's what it's starting to sound like. This is just on the Santa Claus list, buddy. If Santa Claus doesn't come through, I still love Riot for providing me with a great product. But when I write to Santa, I don't ask for his budget.
I know, but I think, look, you have to be careful what you ask for, right? And that is what I'm trying to help you and the community with, because if Riot does quote unquote relent and do BO3s for summer. Like I saw Papa Smithy in the chat earlier being like, I'm confident Mark is listening. And I'm sure he is. Maybe not to this show right now, because he also, I don't think, has internet or power because he lives down the street from me. But like, I don't really know if people realize that what they're going to ask for is going to lead to a time where we will potentially have, you'll see 2 matches, maybe both of which only go to 2 games, and that will be your Saturday. And honestly, it's still 4 games in a day. Mm-hmm. So maybe people will still be down for that. But like, you will only get to see your team play one other team each week, because I just don't think that they will. With them doing the spring final stuff, with them clearly looking to save costs. I mean, I think that them going down to 8 teams was partially in that. Like, I cannot imagine, and maybe they would do this if viewership was like overflowing, but like viewership is not. Like it has at most stabilized year over year. So I really wanted to talk about that at some point in time, and this felt like this was the call. I was reminded of it whenever the best of 3 stuff came out.
Would you rather play 2 best of 1s a week or 1 best of 3 a week?
That's just if I win or lose. If I lose that one, so let's say I'm APA. I practiced for 30 days. I went 1-1. Fuck, if I only played a BO3, I would have won. That would have felt so much better. Like, I just think it's depending on if you win or lose. It's if you lose, like your BO1, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just want to play a BO3, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you win, you don't care.
Okay. Just win and this fixes everything. Wow, if only all 8 teams won every week.
Besides that, realistically, I think I'd rather play the most games I could.
Yeah.
But I would say if I had a super week, right? Let's say this week, I give an example. The only problem with playing 3 BO1s a week is that you have 3 days of scrims if you take 1 break day, which also sucks.
Yeah, that actually, people don't realize that about Super Weeks, but I would say that is a serious drawback of Super Weeks, is losing the scrim day.
I'm just looking at Twitch chat, and people are so out of sync on this. Like, they're like, no, they do this in LPL and LCK. And I'm like, yeah, guys, those are entirely different ecosystems. Like we are not that. If you want us to do this with LPL LCK, all of you need to go out and start getting really campaigning for this league to increase in viewership, because there's just no way. Like I get that people are very different or whatever, but it's funny that like I did that video this week, and I'm sure do we have a call on this on Cubby, the spring finals yet? David is probably
not
that,
yet,
right?
but we could. Yeon. No, he's actually 100 Thieves show, but we could change his. You know?
No, it's fine. We don't have to change somebody's take. But if somebody does want to talk about spring finals, it's probably a good show to talk about that, because I got a lot of pushback in the YouTube comments about how Riot should still do a spring finals outside of the LCS studio, and offered a bunch of cheaper ways to do it. And a lot of people were like, well, they just don't have the money. Like it's that they don't have any money to do this type of stuff. But then here, and I get people are split. It's not all the monolith or whatever, but like, it's just funny here to see a lot of people be like, nah, dog, they could just do 4 nights. Like,
No, Travis, like, I think you're right. So like, I like, this is what I'm saying is I think that like, it just is 2 different conversations you're trying to have right now. Because you're trying to have the conversation of like, when the players are practicing as much as they're practicing, what do they want? And I'm telling you what they want.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, but if you were the commissioner of the league, what would you do? And that's a different conversation, right?
yeah,
like,
the challenge is like, the only reason I think it's important to have this conversation, Spawn, is because the players are voicing an opinion, right? Which is we want best of 3. And I think co-streamer, or not co-streamers, well, maybe some co-streamers, but also like other personalities are like, we want best of 3. And so then all the fans start saying, we want best of 3.
Yeah, and you're saying, but at what cost?
And
So
I'm saying like, I just don't like I just want to flag that like people need to realize that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, and what I would say is like, if I'm thinking about it, I do think 1 best of 3 a week is it doesn't feel satisfactory to me. But from a completely competitive standpoint, I do think it's like a little bit better than where we currently are.
Sure.
That's what I would say. But then if I put my viewer hat on, do I only want to watch Team Liquid play on a Saturday? No, I probably want to watch them play on a Saturday and a Sunday. So I understand how we're in the current predicament we're in. And then I do want to kind of just piggyback on what you're saying about fans need to also jump in and get involved a little bit. Because what I will say is that, like, I think that if we had some more fans being pro stuff as opposed to anti stuff, it would also help the conversation a little bit at the moment. Because, like, I like the conversation of I want best of 3s because I would love to see this, like, you know, I would love to see C9 play TL again and see whether C9 can get a better draft and actually win, and whether it all was draft out. I think that's like a really fun conversation. I don't like the conversation of like, I want to see less of the shit teams kind of conversation, which is how some people get to BO1 in the end. So, yeah. Different take again is what it is.
We've gone all over the place. Davis, I'm sorry. We started off with 8 teams that are great and went on a huge BO3 tangent. But anything you want to bring us back to, or any points you felt we missed, Davis?
Well, Spawn kind of brought us back at the end there with not wanting to see the shit teams. And my take was that there aren't shit teams because there are only 8. And if you wanted to talk about this, I wanted to respond to your comment that like you wish that these teams that left the league were instead digging Immortals.
I didn't say that. I said there were the 2 teams that left were not the 2 teams I would like to have seen left, and there were 2 other teams that maybe I would have liked to see leave. I didn't say any names, Davis. I said no names.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It could have been anybody.
Immortals. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, continue.
I was thinking one of the advantages of having those teams in the league is that they keep on fielding these import players, which I know you don't like, but I kind of wanted to ask Yeon, because as a viewer, I think it could be fun to see North American talent go up against these like international players during the regular season. And if like as a player you have that experience at all, or like your teammates do, you know, does APA like feel good about beating down on Mask? You know, if that like, is that something you experience?
So me personally, I don't really know. So you know how Prince came over last year, right? And like a lot of people had very hype for him. I'll give him an example. I didn't really know who Prince was. Like, I don't really look at the names and pay attention to many people. So I'm not the best person to ask that. But I will say, if they are known for being good, it would probably feel good to beat them. if that kind of answers your question. If it was someone like who hasn't been like recognized yet, maybe I'd be like somewhat of like, even if they were an import.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call, Davis. Anything you want to shout out?
The last caller kind of took my shout out. You did a great job putting this show together, Travis, and good luck in the gauntlet, Spawn.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for the call. All right, we're going to take a quick break really quickly to talk about our sponsor for the evening. Our sponsor is none other than you. Yes, you, dear viewer. You can support the show and sponsor the show, and I will shout you out, especially if you're here live. There is Numi's over in Twitch chat. I think she'll probably do it in YouTube as well. A link to the TGI support link tree, and supporting through there is super great until we find our next wonderful brand partner to help make sure that I can afford very expensive Los Angeles rent. You don't want Cubby to get evicted, and he will if I stop paying rent. Because imagine everybody loves Cubby as a caster, but what if he can't cast anymore because he doesn't have a home? And he won't have a home because I got evicted with him because I couldn't pay rent.
Damn,
So-
Travis ain't fucking around.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say, like, wouldn't it be a pity if Cubby, everyone's favorite caster, was homeless? I don't want to say
my favorite caster.
that I have
don't really care what happens to Sam.
a blackmail or hostage situation going on here, but I'm just saying it sure would be great if you sent a Prime sub to the Twitch channel. If you're watching the VOD, there is a support link in there. I think we have one over on Spotify as well, and maybe on some other podcast platforms. You can always check. But doing supporting through that link is actually very helpful. There's a bunch of random different options there that you can choose to get through, and including even becoming a YouTube member. And if you do become a YouTube member, you can do so for as low as $2.99. You get early access to videos that have not gone live yet. So that is a very cool way to do that. But anyway, Papa Smithy says, Travis's scenario seems to have escalated quickly. Listen, I'm just saying Cubby is a great caster, and we don't want to lose him from the league scene. Thanks so much to all of you for sponsoring the show, and we will shout you out next time. I appreciate your support. All right, let's go grab the next caller.
All right.
Thank you to Corbin, Don Nardo, Jake Tronic, Queen, Shavul, and Chill Circle, who in the YouTube chat says, go get a real job. UPS pays 6 figures, Travis. And again, without support from people who say things like that, I wouldn't be able to do the show. King with 2 G's. Thank you for the Prime. Really appreciate it. David is here. David, where are you calling from?
Jersey City, New Jersey. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. What do you want to talk about on the show?
As much as I would love to bug you about road shows and everything else there, I've turned a new leaf, and
Dude.
we are turning a take.
David, really quickly. What I heard about the roadshow thing, the first thing I did was message Mark and be like, wow, David's gonna fucking hate you. He called it the Hotline League and used to say there should be a roadshow every other week with the LCS. And Mark brings the roadshow count down 50% in his first year as commissioner. But anyway, sorry, go ahead and put your take.
My take is, how about them Thieves, baby? Do you know how many people were putting us 8th place at the beginning of spring that we wouldn't be able to develop in time? I'll list a few names for you. Pastry Time, Rafa. I've got a whole list ready for the end of the split if the time comes.
I'm on there too.
You didn't explicitly put them 8th, so I didn't.
Yeah, they were 8th. Yeah.
They were higher up on. You kind of put them in a group of their own. So I gave you some slack there just to not, piss off the new host and try and get on your good side. But 8th place from most people. And yet we're second. I get by technicality because the order is listed in terms of numbers down to letters. I fully understand that point. But the rookies are looking comfortable. They're learning. They're growing. The players that we were worried about, like Eyla and Quid, are stepping up massively and proving the speculation wrong. River, God bless that man. It is so nice to have him on our side rather than getting screwed by him every single time. And our coaching staff is just crushing it. So I just wanted to say, how about them Thieves, baby? It's not too late to hop on the hype train. If anybody wants to join it, ride it into eternity. And I heard Yeon talking a little bit of crap earlier, to which I would say, just remember what your record is against 100 Thieves this split.
Just saying, I also put them 8th until I lost to them.
Yeah, we're just not, baby.
I mean, they're not 8th, but aren't they middle of the pack, David?
I would say second if you look at the standings. Last
So
time
when I
checked the
go
picture,
to
they were in high spec.
lolesports.com/standings, and I don't know why, because it doesn't make sense alphabetically. I guess they just ignore the number at the start, but they are in the 4th spot on that list.
If I open up Twitter and pull up the LCS's tweet, they're second on that list. Thank you very much.
Okay.
They also are above us. Just like, so for anyone, like I'm actually a realist. We are 4th at the moment because we don't have head-to-head against NRG or 100 Thieves. So we should be below them. Like there is no 3-way tie. If tiebreakers happen right now, we lose the tiebreaker. We're not in the group.
All right. Well, but I thought I booked a second place team on this show, but now I realized that I booked a 4th place team. So it's
You did.
unfortunate.
It's just for the memes, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Team Liquid 4th. All right. So 100 Thieves hype. Is it too early, Cubby?
The one thing I'll say is I think that they're, given what team expectation was and where they're at, I think that they have the biggest gap, and like a positive gap in favor of.
You said positive gap. I was about to say I think Cloud9 is the biggest gap, but yes,
positive gap. And I want to give Quid a lot of credit, as he was someone that was new to the space. He was thrown into the fire last year as his visa was late. And I think that Quid is a great example of someone that when you actually have the time to adapt to your surroundings, his performance this year versus last year is significantly better. And I don't know like what all goes into that, obviously. I'm not Quid, but I think that, you know, as a young man moving overseas to come here, and like, of course, having a new team is different, but as an individual Quid, I think like seeing him versus like when he was thrown into the fire, Quid's actually a mid laner I want to watch more of in the league now. And I don't think that was the case for a lot of fans last year, right? So I want to give especially him a lot of credit. The rookies are doing better than I thought. I think really highly of Meech, actually. I think that Meech has had a couple moments where I'm like, hey, buddy, like, what are you doing? But there also been some moments for Meech that have been pretty good and like what I expected to see out of his play. Like, he's good movement. He's good in the mobile marksman. He's solid. And like was in challengers. But yeah, I mean, I guess we should have respected a team with River on it more, you know? I guess like he's too good and like they're working out. I don't know. I want to see more. I still don't think 100 Thieves, like I think they're going to be a borderline playoff team when it's all said and done. But I think that they had a really nice first round robin. So we'll see.
Dude, David, Cubby just said borderline playoffs team. Are you going to take that?
My expectation was just to make playoffs and we go from there. I'm expecting it to be a different world come best of 5s. We're young. I fully understand that that'll be our weak point. I'm just proving the point that we're not 8th. That's all that I cared about more than anything else.
Well, you call in,
yeah.
you hype them
celebrate
up.
the small wins. The prior call and Spawn was just about we want to see more positivity, and I'm out here praising anything but 8th, and you're giving me shit. Come on now.
I'm just saying.
This is what teams should be like. By the way, this is what fans should be like. Like,
yes.
So I'm a huge. I'll give this example. I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan. Anyone that follows me knows that I love Russell Westbrook. And when he was on the Washington Wizards, it was like, I just wanted to make playoffs. You know, I wanted to like turn around, carry a couple of games. Like, I really appreciate this. I really appreciate this refreshing perspective, actually, from a League of Legends fan. Like, all of a sudden, it's not like, what? My team isn't first? Well, fuck this team. I'm never support them ever again. Where's the next bandwagon for me to jump on? You know. So, shout out to David. This is a good take. I like it. I think when I was a caster, I used to have good, could be good, bad, and then I came up with a new category, and then I used to take them out of the bad category. I'll put them in the not that bad. You know, they're not good yet, but they're not that bad. And I would say that for me as a coach, 100 Thieves have definitely moved solidly into the not that bad category.
Yeon,
sure.
Yeon, why is 100T not 8th place?
Personally, I feel like their concept of we're playing together as a team. So I would say their drafts are very good, in my opinion. I think it supports the players very well. I think they all are. I would assume they're happy with their drafts because it looks like, in my opinion, I would say it fits them very well. The only person I would say it does not fit that much is probably Meech. I would be expecting Meech to be more on a hyperscaling champion, like a hyperscaling teamfight champion, but it seems like he's playing less of those, minus one game of Aphelios. But I think for the most part, everyone on 100 Days is playing what they're good at, and their drafts are also well balanced. I think they just have a very good direction of how to play together.
I do want to chip in on like what Yeon's talking about with like his peer and Meech, in the sense that Meech was very good at like the immobile marksman. Like I think that coming into the league, like he has good spacing and like good ideas like how to play out fights with those. Stuff like Seraphine and Poke Varus isn't really what I'm used to seeing out of Meech, and it has been nice to see him expand the pool, because that's necessary if you're going to be an LCS pro, right? You got to deal with whatever the game throws your way, especially now that we're on live patch. And B, like it hasn't been ugly as he's expanded the pool. You know, I think that the Seraphine game is like there was a Poke Varus game. He actually got pretty fed on and like did well, but like they lost. But I think overall, like it's been good to see that, and then it was also good to see the Aphelios game. There was like there was two moments in the Aphelios game where I was like, oh man, I was like, what's going on? But the rest of it, he played out really well, and they won that one this past week. So yeah.
All right. Well, David, congratulations on not being 8th. Big moment, I know. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Two shout outs. First to Yeon. I absolutely love the shit talk. Like, please do not stop. Please keep it up. Like, moments like that are really nice from a fan perspective to latch behind and just hype up matches upcoming. Like, it makes me as a 100 Thieves fan want to face TL even more for that reason, knowing that you can dish it out just as much as we can give it. And second shout out would be to the New York City League of Legends community. We're building slowly but surely here with various different watch parties. I'm giving up on the roadshow idea, but I'm promoting people. If you can have a watch party in your local city, reach out to various PC cafes or smaller places that might want the business on the weekends. Just say, hey, can you throw it on? And I'll bring 2 or 3 people with me to come watch. And that's all it takes to start building. Just do it week after week. We do it bi-weekly here in New York. And before you know it, you might have 20 people showing up. And for World's Finals, you might have 400. You never know.
Dude,
it just takes time to build.
Back to what you were saying about Yeon and the shit talk. I think Team Liquid is the most toxic team. Like, APA did an interview this week where he said that he didn't understand why people were calling C9 a super team because they had downgraded 2 positions. And Raz, who I consider a friend and I respect, just fucking moved on from that answer at the interview.
That's a good point.
I wanted to shake him. I was like, Raz, what are you doing? You got to immediately be like, what? Elaborate on that. Talk more. And instead he was like, let's talk about the game. And I was like, no. That was such a good moment. But I do think TL players are fucking toxic as shit. I don't know what's going on with you guys, but Spawn,
David,
are you making? Is it the Australian in you that's corrupting these people?
No, it's actually the opposite, to be honest, because and my players will tell you this, I'm the opposite of a shit talker. I am give respect to everyone. Hard work will triumph over all. Let's just make sure that we focus on us kind of person. And then I have the Zoomers in APA and Yeon running around, bouncing off walls, abusing other players. And then I have Impact, who's also low-key pretty toxic too. So it's been an experience, Travis, so far, but definitely not a team built in my image, for sure.
Cubby, you were going to say?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I'm very nice to people who are nice. If I'm the type of person who's eye for an eye.
To you, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm an eye for an eye kind of person. If you're a piece of shit, I'm gonna give you so much shit. But I rarely talk or type to anyone who, in scrims, I would never type to someone unless they are being a complete asswipe, to be honest.
Hey David, if anyone gets a watch party that's like starts getting bigger, can you help connect them with to get more support or anything? Like, can they reach out to you? I don't know if you want to share where you're at.
Absolutely. You can reach out to me on Twitter at DSZAJNUK. I'm not sure how many resources I would be able to provide. I mean, most of that's just from connections that I've built up through years of living here in New York.
Okay.
But I can just offer advice and general outlook on how to do it.
Yeah. No, that's great. They've been really cool to see the photos of that. So good work. Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. Thanks so much, David. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
All right. Cubby is off to grab the next caller over on YouTube. Thank you to John for the $10 who sent ad read response message, Dustin who sent $10, and Josh who sent $10 and says, Travis will make sure that this job pays better than the UPS. Thank you for doing this instead of getting a real job. I appreciate that. UPS does pay probably a lot more than I will make this year. But, this is a fun one. So I'm going to do this until I need to go drop off packages. Caliman420, thank you for the Prime. I think I already shouted out King with 2 Gs, but just in case, thank you for that. But yeah, YouTube suddenly, from nowhere, just started dropping a bunch of $10 super chats, which is super cool. All right, we got our next caller here. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is twinkletoes on Discord. I'm calling from Encino, California.
Encino, California. Twinkletoes, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get the people on the call's take about the status of esports in 2024 in North America and maybe kind of broader in the rest of the world. I made a little list of some kind of pros and cons to maybe get the conversation started. I guess specifically to North American League of Legends, I've been a fan for a long time, since the start of Season 4. And this year, we've gone from 10 teams down to 8 teams, which you would hope might condense the talent, but instead we've led to the Cloud9 losing streak. We have players like Licorice and Someday that are unemployed, for a long time in International League of Legends, almost around the world, the crowd used to ironically cheer TSM's name, and now TSM is not even a part of the league anymore. I've been a fan of a lot of other esports as well. One is Halo, so maybe a positive is more organization like Shopify. They recently dumped their Halo team for a slightly more budget team, but hey, now they're a part of the LCS, which I would imagine is a positive.
Is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe from their perspective, but then broadening in League of Legends, I guess, to the rest of the world. Maybe the people on our call, being Spawn and Yeon, have some opinions of somebody like Pioshik, going from Team Liquid last year, and now he's on KT, and his AD carry is Deft, and his mid laner is BDD. T1 is the same team that just won. I think there's 18 teams in the LPL or something. And so I framed my take as loosely a question towards maybe Spawn to start, since he is a foreigner to North America. But obviously you've mentioned a number of times on the call already that you've been happy in North America and with Team Liquid, but as being originally from outside of North America, do you hope instead that maybe in the future there's another game like Tekken 8 or an existing game like Valorant or a future game like Project L or something to that effect?
So let's just condense the take a little bit more.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you just want to get an idea of what all of our opinions are on the state of esports in North America.
Kind of, yeah, and we can limit it to, I guess, League of Legends and I guess our level of relative competition with the rest of League of Legends.
In your take, you did mention what I thought was interesting was actually the fact that League of Legends 2 and the new map.
Yeah,
specifically the new map. Yeah.
I was going to try to list some positives, and I, as just a fan and player, have been enjoying the new maps, and so I listed maybe do we want to call the new map as our quote unquote League of Legends 2 as a positive that something generated new hype, new interest in the game in its 14th year?
Yeah, so I think moving on to the map is a little tough whenever we're trying to talk about esports. Not to say that the map doesn't have involvement in esports, but I do. Yeah, I think we are a little bit off on the side there.
I mean, I can cover most of it, I think,
yes.
Travis.
Okay, go for it.
A couple of things, right? So you hit on, there's a couple of things that I'll just pull out of the question, and then if I go too long, you guys can just tell me to shut up, right? So
Sure.
I am normally very aligned with Travis about imports that come to North America on a temporary basis as like a stopgap year, right? I think the Pioshik situation is very different. I think that he got an offer to join a team pretty late in the offseason. He took it, and then he went back to the LCK because he got a very good offer from KT. And I don't think many people within the LCS would actually deny an offer from KT. Especially with the lineup they had, right? I'm pretty sure Blabber would take it. I'm pretty sure Umti would take it. Like, I'm just going to throw some names out there. Contracts would probably take it. And if you listen to Pioshik, when he talks about North America, he actually talks about it pretty fondly, to be honest. And I know for a fact that he enjoyed most of his time over here. So I think that that's a little bit of a different story on the imports. But much like myself, I came to North America because I saw that I could get a career here. I think that a lot of the players within the LCS need to be in the same thing. They need to treat it like it's a permanent move until it's not permanent, if that makes sense. In terms of the health of North American esports, I think that this is something that is well documented. I think that in an economy where the esports ecosystem is going backwards, the fact that North American League of Legends is currently holding firm is a very good sign. That's my take on it. I think that this should be seen as like growth in terms of how the rest of North American esports is going, is my current understanding of the esports ecosystem is it's quite tough. And League of Legends is holding firm, which is good for League of Legends. The new map sucks as a coach because it made me unlearn everything that I learned over literally 12 years of League of Legends, so that can go fuck itself. But everything else is going great.
I do appreciate the take that, I have said, I think in the last couple episodes, that people are a little too hard on the LCS in terms of it dying, quote unquote, whenever it is still the largest North American esports league that exists.
I'm just saying Tekken 8 or whatever it is. I haven't played Tekken since Tekken 2, but Tekken 8 would love to have the LCS as numbers. They would love to have it.
There's a lot of things that would. And so I do think that it's not as bad as perhaps it looks. I think the big issue though is that Riot does need to figure out whatever it's going to be. And Spawn obviously touched on my opinion on how much we rotate players around, and now I think how much we're rotating teams around. But we need to figure out something to increase viewership in the league again. I'm happy that we're holding firm, but
it's just funny, Travis, because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't in North American esports, because you tell me every single time I come on this, man, if Team Liquid just kept the same people on their team, they would build fandom. And then I do it, and I get 3,000 death threats.
I don't. Okay, so a couple different things. I don't think I tell you that every time you come on the show. Secondly, I don't think you kept the full team. Third,
I kept the core of the team. In terms of Counter-Strike terms, I kept the team, Travis. I kept all my spots to the previous majors. I kept 3 out of 5. And I kept coaching staff, and I kept analysts. I kept 5 out of 7. And then the GM. That's 6 out of 8. I'm doing good over here.
You guys are learning. I think we'll see. We'll see. I know you talked about the Piosik thing. I know what you mean about how he went to KT and that's like an offer that anybody would take. But
I'm sorry, maybe you guys are misunderstanding. What I meant by that, I guess, is just, framing the conversation more about how NA exists, or NA League of Legends exists, I guess, here specifically. Like, do we expect to be competitive with like the LCK, LPL continuing to go forward? Are we like, I think it was fantastic that Riot got New Jeans to do the World Song from last year, because I understand that the marketing relevancy that has in other parts of the world. Like, are we just kind of piggybacking off?
Sorry, I'll be honest. I am having a hard time understanding your question, because you go say, are we going to be as competitive? And then you mentioned New Jeans doing an opening ceremony.
I just was trying. I had a list of kind of pros and cons about this.
I know. But if you had to sum it up as a central thesis question, give me this question in one sentence. podcast listeners are going to think that the audio died.
Sorry. I guess just yeah. I guess Spawn already hit it a little bit. Are we optimistic going forward about the LCS?
Okay. Are we optimistic going forward about the LCS? I think it depends on what you define as the LCS. I think there is a decent chance that if you look at the trend for Riot across most of their esports regions, they have been consolidating. I don't think that the league this year is growing. And so I think there's a very good chance that we would consolidate into some sort of product that would include other America's stuff. Because I think if you look at what they did in Valorant, I firmly believe that that is what they wish they could have done in League from the beginning. And what they have done in Valorant when it comes into relation to North America is they have put North America as part of an America's League. So when I optimistic?
I just want to jump in, Travis,
Yeah.
because like there's a take in Twitch chat from Sin 2013, which I think it's Sin, and it maybe is the worst take I have seen from a Twitch chat member. And I love Twitch chat. I am pro Twitch chat. Remember that Twitch chat. But the fact that he said none of them can answer this honestly, they all get money via some way from the LCS. Yeah, do you know where I got money from before the LCS? The OPL. You know what happened to the OPL? It's fucking dead, bro. What do you mean that I can't answer this honestly?
Honestly,
I've been a part of 2 products that have died. I could definitely answer this very honestly. And that is, I do think the LCS is quite healthy at the moment. If it wasn't healthy, I would be sweating bullets because I use this to feed 2 kids. So, like, I genuinely, without a shadow of a doubt, I actually do believe that the LCS is in a relatively healthy spot. Now, does healthy mean growing? No, it doesn't. But I think that you have to map the LCS versus what other North American esports are doing at the moment. And my understanding of that market, it is rapidly deteriorating, and the LCS is holding firm. So I do think that's a good sign. And I think the changes were across the board, great changes.
I also am just confused because I don't make any money. Like I don't LCS does not give me money. I guess
Really?
you could say, yeah.
Did you apply for commissioner like 15 times?
Dude, yeah, and then I got declined 17 times. So that's what I was saying. I don't get paid by the LCS. I think I have been in fact criticized in the last year for being too negative on the LCS. So it's kind of weird that the take is that I can't be honest. Just to finish where I'm at, I think it really depends on how you feel about the LCS and what the LCS is. And I think that there is a decent chance that like the LCS eventually morphs into an America's League. I don't know if that would happen next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. But I do think that will likely happen unless LCS like doubles or triples its numbers, that type of stuff. And I think that will happen eventually because I just don't think.
Would you like that, Jan? Would you like
there.
to play against LATAM in Brazil?
Are we also including Europe in it?
No, just Americas.
Americas.
This is like the Valorant League.
Me personally, I wouldn't like traveling that much, if that's what you mean as well. I wouldn't be pro travel. Like, if it's similar to the CSGO team, because
Yeah, they spend so much time.
yeah, because I talked to the CS2 team a couple times when they were here in the Alienware training facility. They told me they like move every like 2 to 3 weeks.
No,
and
but the
it
Val
seems
pros
like-
don't. I think it'd be more like the Val stuff, where like it basically all happens in the LCS studio. Usually when the Riot Game studio, usually when LCS is trying to do a broadcast. So
I think because Brazil has such a huge fan base, it'd be pretty fun to do that kind of thing. I think if you have a lot of fandoms, then it'd be pretty good. But competitive wise, maybe it'd be like a bit weird on that aspect. Maybe if you're like adding the entire 3 leagues together.
what
Like
if?
the
No, I
odds.
think what would happen. I would bet what would happen is you. This is pure speculation. This is not like a source thing or whatever. Before people start putting this someplace. Like, I think you probably would cut LCS down to, you take 6 teams from LCS. You'd wait and see if Immortals if Immortals stays able to be instantly disqualified. You'd buy out another team, and then you take like 2 teams from Brazil and you take 2 LATAM teams or something, and you'd have a 10-team Americas League.
That sounds awesome. Sign me up right now. If that's what you're doing, Travis, I'm on board. I love it.
Yeon, are you on board?
So I don't know if I'm misunderstanding this, but there's like not that many NA teams then in that regard.
Only 6. 2 less, brother.
2 less.
You get 10-team league.
I would probably be against it.
Damn, you guys must be dumping on those teams and scrims. That's the case.
Sorry.
So I'm for this. I was making a joke. Like, you get like the teams. Like, if you're scrimming any of the teams over there, they must not be very good if you're not in.
Oh no,
so-
I don't know about their skill
Yeah.
level. It's more like I'd rather it be consistent
Mm-hmm.
with like that NA versus NA.
Yeon likes NA versus NA. I think that a couple of other people like international. I think Cubby would like international. I think Travis would like international. So, I mean, different people do have different takes on this, but yeah. To go back to the original point, Travis, if they change the league, I would be for change, because I think change in the current environment is normally for the good at the moment, because the change seems to be going in a positive direction. But I do think that right now we should be happy with where it is.
I mean, change for change's sake is not always good, Spawn. Because, like, when I interviewed Dita and Nas last year about the weekday thing, they were like, well, we got to do some changes because we can't keep doing what we've been doing. Like I personally, I would feel sad to see like an America's League pop up, because I do think that is like the death of the LCS. Like, not to say the America's League couldn't be successful, but like, I truly have loved the LCS, and I have enjoyed what it has been, and I would be bummed to see it essentially go away. But I also understand that might be the reality of where we're headed, and I also understand that there would be some benefits in that system as well. But I do think, I don't know, I think it could be rough. I also don't know if we've had enough time of Valorant Americas to know whether or not it is a good idea in the long run. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right. Caller, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate your take. Is there anything that you want to say here at the end? Any shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Travis, I've been a fan for a long time. Like I said, I've been watching the LCS since like season 4. Shout out to Spawn. I know I'm involved in a number of other league coverage as well. Shout out to Vi, been my favorite champion ever since I started playing. And to Yeon Support Core, JJ, I think it was his Tom Kench eating ruler why Samsung was able to win that world championship.
Very good. Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time. Tactical in the chat memeing on Yeon, who says, I don't watch VCT too much, so I don't understand their system. Is Tactical saying that's what Yeon says?
So I took that call because I was hoping we were going to talk about the new map. And Yeon, I just want to ask you, how does it feel as a bot laner to play on red side versus blue side?
The main thing is like the double marksman, which is very annoying.
Yes.
I will say, if the double marksman to like going around the thing and like messing with some other, if you play a weaker bot lane as red side, it's probably very annoying with that wall. But if that meta didn't exist, I think it's a completely fine change.
Okay.
I think it creates like more opportunities for both sides if you control it as well. I think it's healthy.
So my thing about the new map is that it's too easy for me from blue side to access bot lane because of like just where Dragon's at. If League is gonna do League 2, I want Baron and Dragon in the middle of the river. I've decided that at this point.
In reverse of that though, but on red side you have another angle to play through as well. It's like way easier to hold that zone when you're red side, and you're contesting the Dragon area.
Yeah.
So I will say it's a fine thing. It's just like a bit annoying when you play the weaker bot lane. Is all.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Cubby, you want to go grab the next caller?
Yeah, we've got 2 more.
Yes. Yeah, we'll try to speed run them. I don't want to take Yeon and Spawn's time too much longer.
Yeah. All right.
iNuber, thank you for the 31 months. All right. Let's see. Twitch chat and YouTube chat, all reacting to the dog that disappeared. I'm sure the dog is fine. It's up on.
That's Myron's dog. It's actually really old.
Yeah.
So like I think it's like 17 or something like that. It's a very nice dog.
Louis.
Yeah. All right, we got our next caller. GoldenKS is here. Golden, where are you calling from?
Calling from Seattle, Washington.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
I think people forget how big deal the Impact is. And once again, he's a low-key survivor of TL. I know we kind of went through Alfari, Summit, and back to Impact. When looking at this season so far, has been unstoppable. He's always in the right place for earlier skirmishes and really driving the game forward. I think he is the best top lane right now. And I would love to hear his name more on the broadcast or just in general. And then kind of having two TL members on the show right now, I would love to hear more about the Impact and what role he plays and how he fits in the total composition, both off the game and in game.
Yeon, why is the caller wrong about Impact? Why does Impact not deserve respect?
He doesn't shut up. He's old. He bullies me. No, I have a lot of respect for Impact. I think he helps a lot with feedback, especially in review. Sometimes it gets a bit like it goes like mix and match sometimes because there's a lot of guys. Maybe I should wait for him. I'll wait for him a little bit.
You're good. You can
Just keep going. Sure.
Yeah. Just keep going.
I have a lot of respect for Impact, mostly because his feedback is very direct and is like, I'm pretty sure he does. The feedback he gives us, he gives them to himself as well, which is the biggest thing for me. Like he has a standard for his teammates, which he upholds himself, which I think not many players will do. And I just think his feedback is very good as a basic standpoint. The only downside is sometimes it gets lost in like the reviews. Sometimes it's like it gets a bit long and then people don't know what they're talking about and they don't understand each other. They don't feel like people are listening. But I think he's very useful to have as a teammate.
Tactical says he doesn't stop yapping. Is that an accurate descriptor, Yeon?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. No, I mean, Spawn, what do you think of all this?
Yeah, I'm really happy with Impact. Obviously, someone that we targeted really early in the off-season. I don't think it was any... Oh my goodness, I'm in the dark again. I don't think it was any surprise to anyone that Team Liquid was very interested in Impact, given the fact the amount of success that Team Liquid had with Impact historically. And kind of does, as I said earlier in the show, kind of does everything you would expect a veteran and a great player to be able to do. Don't know about this Udyr take, though. I think his Udyr not that great. Should definitely not ban it, other teams, and just keep giving me Udyr first pick. I would appreciate that. He's got plenty of other champions he can play, so leave my Udyr alone. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Udyr, not Udyr. What other skins are there? Phoenix Udyr. Udyr.
Cubby, what's your take on Impact?
I was sitting watching my reviews today saying I'm tired of seeing Impact play Udyr. He uses his timers the best, and TL should not be allowed to have this champion. So, yeah.
Well, so I see GoldenKS's take, who's our caller right now, wrote it in as Impact once again is low-key the savior of TL. Do you think that's accurate, Cubby? Is Impact the savior of TL?
I mean, TL's only won when they've had Impact, so he must be the savior, no?
True. No, but I mean, how much of a role do you think he's playing on their success?
Shit.
And I'm happy to elaborate on my take a little bit here.
Sure.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is Impact is always kind of a stable piece on the board. You know he's going to do well in lane. He's going to be in the right place in the right time. And when you're building a roster, I feel like you need a couple of those pieces, and that's why Impact is such a big piece of TL.
I think you're trying to walk back your take. Because I think you put something bold in there, and now you're trying to downplay it. Because when you say once again is Loki the savior of TL, and then whenever I bring this up, you're like, well, listen, I want to clarify. I mean, he's reliable, he's dependable,
You got TL back to 4th. That is the TL expectation. No, that's the main.
But I'm just saying. I think the caller is kind of waffling here on this.
Can I jump in on this as well? Because I also see this about Impact a little bit, where people are like, wow, he was like the best weak side top laner in TL, and that's what they needed, a weak side top laner. It's like, that's not necessarily true either. Like, didn't he play Silas into Gnar against IG? Like, this guy has genuine carry champions that he can pop off on. So I do agree that he's like really solid. And like the good thing about Impact is when he plays well, he plays very well. And when he plays poorly, he plays well. You know, his worst game is a very solid game by most LCS people's standard. But I do think that this whole he's a weak side Titan is like a bit of a meme, to be honest. And I know Impact thinks it's a little bit of a meme as well.
Bring GP back in the meta so I can watch Impact push.
Yeah. I mean, bring Jax back in the meta. Bring, something like the top lane Silas back in the meta. He's going to go Gnar. So I think he's just overall a good player.
I'll take a different angle on this, as I think that this is one of the rare moments where in esports we get a good player that returns to an org. And I think that oftentimes, like in sports, like people very much look forward to, like people returning, like to their teams. Like that is, like when LeBron went back to the Cavs, like that was obviously a huge deal, not just because LeBron's good, but like he went back home, right? It definitely feels that way for Impact and TL. And I think that is unique, and one of the cool parts about when you get players in a league that have longevity is that you get a lot more ways to grasp onto them and like why you like them. So I very much appreciate that with Impact. And that guy, the level he's played at for the amount of time he's played at is unreal, and he will never get the credit that he deserves because he did it in NA. And he deserves a lot of credit for that.
All right. Thank you so much, GoldenKS, for the call. Anything you want to shout out here at the end?
Want to shout out you guys, huge TL fan as well, and then to my wife who's waiting to watch Grammys with me. So, thank you.
Yeah, very much. Thanks for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right, we have our final caller coming up here. You want to go grab him, Cubby?
Yeah, we got one more.
Thank you to Jeremy for the $5 super chat over on YouTube, and also the gifted membership. And then thank you to Shiny Froky for 69 months. And also 5 Dead White Guys. Thank you for the sub support, everyone. Getting into our last call here. And then I'll still be on stream. I need everybody to stick around on Twitch for like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all I need.
What is this attitude rumors that people are talking about?
Huh?
Someone's talking.
The Twitch chat is just arguing with each other. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
They're always off on some random tangent.
I want to know what they're arguing about.
Oh, that's your first mistake. All right, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, good evening. My name is Ashar. I'm also calling from Seattle, Washington.
Oh, nice. Another Seattle caller. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so my question's for Yeon and Spawn. To both of y'all, what feels different about TL this year compared to last year? And then kind of extending that a little bit, what feels different about the LCS as a whole this year compared to last year? I mean, obviously we have 2 less teams, but anything else y'all kind of feel from year over year? And my last kind of part of that is, does the mechanical floor actually feel better this year, both in game and in scrims compared to last year? There's been a lot of talk about that last couple of weeks. Do you actually feel that day in and day out? Yeah.
Go, Yeon.
So I'll start from the last take. The mechanical wise, I feel like it's honestly pretty similar from a player's perspective. I do think a lot of players are a little bit better, but I don't see that much of a difference between like the mechanical standpoint. I think players are just good, if that's what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first question was, I'm trying to remember.
What's different about TL this year compared to last year?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is our jungle and top is way... Go away. You don't want that much. I'm not giving you praise that early. So I'll start off with the players first. I think the difference between like top and jungle is that they... Okay, guys, nice. Yeah, it's English. Yeah. Oh. They're very direct and they're more direct with their feedback, I would say. Like, Impact for sure is like a lot more direct with their feedback. Like, hey, why didn't you do that? Why are you being so scared here? Yeah, you know, why aren't you there? Why aren't you on there? You should be doing this actually. Like for examples, I don't think like we gave each other direct feedback last year as much as we should have. Is my biggest thing. And for the coaching staff, we just got another coach. One more coach, baby.
That's the difference. Spawn, I mean, I know this is kind of a weird question for you to answer because you were not part of the main LCS team last year, but to the Colors take, what is different from your perspective?
I think like there's just some things that I want to point out from Yeon's take that like people probably missed. It's like it's very rare that you can give up like double lift and Prince and add Masu and Meech and then be like, yeah, but the relative skill levels kind of the same. Because like you would expect the floor to completely fall out of the ecosystem or at least the roof. You know what I mean? So I do think that whilst it sounds like nothing has changed, like a lot of things have changed. So you got to kind of take the take in context. As for kind of me not being a part of the team, that's kind of a myth and also kind of true. You know, I was there during playoffs, I was there during the Worlds run, so I kind of saw how the team worked together, and also Team Liquid Academy and Team Liquid LCS has always been really close. It's kind of how the system was set up by Steve and Dodo. I think it's the right way to set up the system, so we definitely had good insights into each other's teams. And I would say that what Yeon has said is very much true. We want to build a culture and a system where players drive feedback to each other that drives improvement. I always say to my players, I can give them all the feedback in the world, but the most meaningful feedback is actually peer-to-peer feedback. I think this is just in everything. You know, if a director's like, that was a great take, and then, you know, an actor walks up to an actor and is like, you fucking nailed that, like, I guarantee it just means more from an actor to the actor than it does from a director to the actor. I think that when Twitch chat says to me, that was a great draft, sure, it makes me feel fine. But when another coach walks up to me and says, you know, you nailed us in that draft, that was such a great draft, we didn't see that coming, it just means much more. So peer-to-peer feedback is just way more powerful, way more impactful. And I think that we're doing a good job of building that within the Team Liquid team at the moment. When players are scared to give each other feedback, the team's normally fucked, to be honest.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask when Yeon said about the direct feedback thing, like the cultural changes you're making, that you're implementing seem fruitful so far. Like, what kind of other cultural changes are you kind of making or implementing in the team that you think will have long-term impact on the team?
We're on time now. We were never on time in the past. That's a big culture change for me because I really dislike people that are unorganized and late. I think that we're trying to be healthier. We're going to gym a couple of times a week. We're eating much better, in my opinion. And then the one thing that Umpty has really brought to the team, so shout out to Umpty, is we need to celebrate the little wins because otherwise the season becomes miserable. So we've done a better job of when we have good scrim days, sitting down together, sharing a meal, you know, maybe sharing a beverage. When we have a good week, going out to dinner together and making sure that we're not just giving each other feedback about the bad things, but we're also giving each other feedback about the good things as well. So I think that we're doing a good job.
Where do you guys go for dinner?
We went to Heidi Lau last night.
Oh.
That was very delicious. And then Yeon's mum actually bought me some delicious Korean stew today. So I sat down with Yeon and Umpty and Yeon's brother and had a nice meal. And, we just go everywhere. We eat out a lot, to be honest. Food's really important. So
Yeon's mom makes good food?
I think she bought it, but I don't know where she bought it from.
Oh, okay.
She bought it from Sonnam-dang.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I don't know, Cubby, if you have any follow-ups on this. I know it was primarily a question for Spawn and Yeon, but I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to chime in if you wanted to.
I think from the outside looking in, I think the biggest thing I can give props to with TL is that I think that their games in week 3 looked much better than their games in week 1. And a lot of that is just them working as a unit. So I think that's good. And also, I think it's really important to celebrate the wins. There was actually a time where Spawn brought me in to help coach the Combine that they were running. And I, not being a part of the org, is the only person prepped a PowerPoint. And it included a clip from Bill Belichick, who is a great NFL coach. And he is known for being very passive with the media as well. Doesn't really say much. He's just kind of nonchalant. And the clip is him just absolutely getting up, he's getting up like, yelling at his players pretty much like, why aren't we celebrating this on the field? And it's like, this guy like worked his ass off all week and he made a sick play and no one's there to celebrate with him. He's like, oh, like whatever, like who gives a shit? It's like, you gotta like enjoy that. And I think it's really like a lot of league players, like just given the atmosphere and like you compete sitting in a room, like, man, I was thinking today, like I watched CS matches and like Valorant matches, like in between rounds, like there were fist bumps, like there's like none of that in league either. Like, and that's like, that matters. Like you win with the 5 people that you have on stage with you and like the people in the room. And that group has to be close. And I think that celebrating the wins is a big part of that. So really, I know Umti is like a very fun personality, but it's fun to hear him bring that behind the scenes too. And
Also, one other thing that I'll add to it, and like I don't know, Travis, whether you can see, but it's our day off today, and I'm pretty sure every single person in the office, maybe Impact isn't here because Impact does need some rest. I told him not to come in. But another cultural change of our team is we are always in the office. Like in the past, Team Liquid has said they had the hardest working teams. Now we are, if we were not before, we are definitely the hardest working team.
Yeah, I will say I come here and play Magic and do Magic events, and I always run into APA and Upti. Never really into Yeon for whatever reason. I literally never see him here, but
Don't go get water.
yeah. Oh, that's what
Water's
it is.
too far.
Yeah, I see. You have Spawn do that for you?
No, I drink Monster.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Fantastic.
My sponsor.
Yeah, Steve somewhere just had a little shiver of pleasure go through him. All right, caller, thank you so much for the take. Anything you want to shout out here?
Want to shout out the TGI Industries team. Y'all are doing a great job keeping this going. And it's been a rough couple of months for y'all, but I love the show. Love tuning in every single week. Y'all are fantastic.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out Yeon and Spawn for being here on the day off, man. It's tough out there.
yeah.
Well, yeah, appreciate y'all. Thanks for letting me come on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Catch you next time. All right. So that is the show. I really do want to appreciate Spawn and Yeon both for coming on the show.
That was
and
fun.
you guys doing this. It was super great to have you. And a huge shout out to Team Liquid for saving me. And we would not be doing the show tonight because I just got a message about 45 minutes ago that the internet and power is back on. And I texted Kobe and he confirmed that it's back. So the show would not have happened. I would have just been sitting alone in a cold apartment. So thank you to Team Liquid for hosting me this week. It's been really cool. But Cubby, we'll do our round of shout outs here. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out?
Nope. I got to get through the rest of the tape of Challengers and LCS. So I stream on Twitch at CubbyXX, and also they're up on my YouTube, which I've been slow on that. I'm only throwing the LCS ones up because the Challenger ones have... We got more games than Challengers, so it's been a little bit tough to like do it all in one sitting. But yeah, besides that, thanks to you guys. It was fun having you guys in Challengers back in the day, and it's always fun, having you guys each be one of the many success stories that Challengers has, helped at least pave the way for you guys to do yourselves. So good luck this season, guys. Good to talk to you as always.
Yeah. Jan, any shout outs, plugs? Where can people find you?
Sometimes I stream if we have a good week. Sometimes I don't. Thank you, Honda. Thank you to all our sponsors.
Where can people find your stream?
Twitch.tv, Yeon7Lol.
All right, very good. Spawn, what about you? Any plugs, shout outs?
I don't know if she'll watch it, but shout out to Jenna, my beautiful fiance, and my 2 kids, Jasper and Henry. They've started school in kinder this week, and I hear they're smashing it. And I miss you lots. And then obviously shout out to you, Travis, for having a good show that I can come on and talk shit to Twitch chat. Shout out to Twitch chat because they're always very good with the banter that we bring, so it's good. And then obviously thank you, Honda. Thank you, Monster. And continue to support us. We'll continue to try and improve.
Yeah. For me, I will be in Denver this weekend. So I am playing hooky from the LCS just this weekend. But if you are in town and you're going to into DreamHack, I will be there. And if you are considering playing or you want to coordinate on maybe doing an event that I'm in or something like that, hang out in the Magic channel on Discord. Feel free to hang out in it regardless. Even if you're just into Magic, it's always fun to have everybody there. And then similarly, I will be in Chicago 3 weekends from now. I'm going there the week after next. That should explain it. And I will be at MagicCon there. There's no LCS that week, so I'm not playing hooky. But please hang out and play Magic with me. We'll have a good time. I think it should be a fun round of stuff. Stick around for 5 minutes if you're on Twitch. You'll be really helping me. But thanks everyone for watching. We do the 7 p.m. Pacific, and they are on Twitch and YouTube. So, and you can always join the Discord channel or Discord server, discord.gg/Travis. And if you like this content, please consider supporting. It is really fucking cold in esports winter right now. I have no sponsors. I am still spending money paying video folks and co-hosts and all sorts of people. So that's coming from the savings account. So your support is very much appreciated. So thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next week.